detectives who continue to solve complicated cases and further secure significant life sentences in the violent crime. I want to make a call today, clarion call, especially to women, especially to DA women, that as we see these problems of gender-based violence, they could not have allowed their leader to say the statement that she said about his ex-wife. Yes, he called her a flat chicken. He called her a roadkill. A roadkill is an animal. A roadkill is an animal that you kill and you don't care. For the leader to raise that statement and the women don't say anything is a serious indictment. So I'm making a clarion call to speak to your leader to say he cannot be ready to lead this country when he still look at women as a roadkill, when he calls women as flat chickens. So I'm making that clarion call. But to South Africa, let's come together, let's work together in dealing especially with the gender-based violence. That invitation also goes to the Honorable Mr. Steenhuisen to say, Mr. Steenhuisen, we want to hear you apologizing to abuse a young woman who came to work in your office and was a wife of your colleague, and you took that wife of your colleague, you divorced your own wife, and you took that young girl. She's your wife today, but the women around you are quiet, are not saying anything, and you come in this podium, you talk about gender-based violence. So you better go and fix yourself. Minister, if not, we'll help you. Thank you very much, everybody.
The Minister, please take a seat.
Thank you very much. We really cannot, with you, Chair, sitting there, allow a situation where the minister drags a wife of the leader of the opposition and she's not here. No, you can't do the nonsense you are doing, because when we're starting to respond, we're going to be in the wrong. We shouldn't use the women to fight our own political battles here, to a point where allegations that cannot be confirmed are being said here, and you allow that to happen. That degeneration, Honorable Chair, happened previously, and when we responded, you were the complainants. We cannot sit here and allow the minister to abuse the wife of the leader of the opposition in the name of fighting GBV. That is a woman abuse, what he did here, and cannot be accepted. He must be called to order and to withdraw that unconditionally.
Does not agree that the honourable member Bola Bernard must withdraw herself on the basis of being mentioned without any evidence being there. That's number one. Number two, I don't even know why this matter finds itself on our table now. Because it can be that because our member was mentioned in the commission, he must recuse herself, and then when they come to our committee, our member doesn't get mentioned, and they even say perhaps on a hindsight we realize it was not necessary to mention him in a manner or her in a manner we did. There is no matter before you, so you can't reduce this committee to be a subcommittee of the commission. That everything else that's happening in the commission must happen in our committee. There is a commission for whatever reason. There is this other committee for whatever reason. So it can be that a person just gets mentioned loosely, and then we get overwhelmed. There's still a lot of people who are going there, and Honorable Brendenbach is correct. There's still a lot of people who are going there. We will sponsor your name there. You are not, the fact that She was not mentioned. She was mentioned in the press conference, and then the committee happened after the press conference. Therefore, they don't want to exclude her. When a testimony was given, the committee was already there. So we're talking about her being mentioned while the committee was in existence to tell us about the press conference which happened before the testimony in the commission to dismiss an honorable member. It's wrong. Honorable Kola Barnard must take a conscious decision herself. If she so feels that, you know what, in the meantime, let me take a backseat because I don't know where, that in her own conscience, I don't know where this thing will lead to. But for you to take a name of a member and put it on the table and discuss it the way you are discussing it, even when it is not put by anyone before you on the table, that your member is conflicted, and then there is an area of conflict. And none of us is speaking about a conflict because recusal must be on the basis of conflict. No one says there is the conflict. No one can establish the conflict, but we are readily available to go to get the member with no evidence before us, even when our member is not mentioned before our committee, and even when we look at the issue, none of us is pointing at conflict of interest. So I'm very sorry, I'm not part of such a arrangement where rights of people get humiliated and violated the way we want to do it. It's wrong. I disagree, Chair.
Are you done, EFF?
Yes.
Muanazi is a hero. For a man to go outside the established protocols to do what he did was to put his body on the line. That's what a man does. Whether you agree with him or not, it doesn't matter. But he played a very, very important role in exposing the rot, and it is our turn now, as a country, not as politicians, to deal with this matter. The country must pay a closer attention. One, that Muanazi doesn't get victimized. Muanazi's contract is coming to an end in December. If anything, they must advertise that post now. And then he must reapply and get reappointed again so that he can finish this tax. Tax, I don't mean those criminals. I mean these ones we sit with in Parliament. Our problem starts here. Yeah. Muanazi must arrest from here. But if we allow this thing to go and Muanazi's contract is finished, they're not going to appoint him. Because they all say Muanazi, praise him, Muanazi. At the corners, they don't like the man. Or you, this one is going to lock us up, all of us here. If they love Muanazi and they think he's playing an important role, advertise the position so that Muanazi can apply while he's still there, because it's coming to an end. That thing takes 3 months or even more to get appointed into that responsibility. We are at a point where we cannot afford to lose Muanazi. We are at a point where we cannot afford to lose Muanazi. Somehow, he needs to be retained into the force. And somehow, he needs to be elevated to a national responsibility. Because KwaZulu-Natal has become too small for him. Western Cape needs Muanazi to come and deal with these crimes that are supported by DA, funded DA by money of drugs and gangsterism. That's why they can't deal with it. You think this thing is going to eat the ANC alone? Even the DA is going to be shown in those things. Because we're not only looking for Sibia or Masemola. Any rod of the police must come. Anyone with information must come. And those are the people we must protect.
Ms. Kola Barnard is a long-serving member of Parliament. Maybe you might, beg your pardon, Ms. Kola Barnard, maybe you might excuse to some degree, not that I agree with it, Mr. Adams, of being new in that Parliament. But Ms. Kola Barnard is a veteran in Parliament as a lawmaker who ought to understand what belongs where in Parliament. And I can confirm, Commissioners, that she is appointed by her own political party, which is a Democratic Alliance, to be a member of both the Portfolio Committee on Police that deals with the open account, as well as being a member of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, which deals with the COVID farms. So she's better positioned to call the department to come and account at the right platform. But we have seen, and I said when I started, I'm going to throw one example of each. I'm not going to go into details with many. There are many examples. But she's one of the leaders in our legislature that is participating in both breaking the law as well as fueling these malicious attacks that are happening within crime intelligence, and ultimately directed at Kumalo as the head of that intelligence. I said she is a member of Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. So what I put here on as an example on page 61 under paragraph 186 is a statement that she released in her capacity as a member of the Democratic Alliance, which I'm going to call these two paragraphs, Commissioners, on record. The Democratic Alliance is calling for an immediate and thorough investigation into the recent purchase of a multi-million rand commercial property by the Crime Intelligence Division of the South African Police Service in Bria in Durban.
The EFF does not agree that the Honorable Member Kola Barnard must withdraw herself on the basis of being mentioned without any evidence being made. That's number one. Number two, I don't even know why this matter finds itself on our table now. Because it can be that because our member was mentioned in the commission, we must recuse herself. And then when they come to our committee, our member doesn't get mentioned. And they even say perhaps on a hindsight we realize it was not necessary to mention him in a manner or her in a manner we did. There is no matter before you. So you can't reduce this committee to be a subcommittee of the commission. That everything else that's happening in the commission must happen in our committee. There is a commission for whatever reason. There is this other committee for whatever reason. So it can't be that a person just gets mentioned loosely and then we get overwhelmed. There's still a lot of people who are going there. And Honorable Brandenburg is correct. There's still a lot of people who are going there. Who will sponsor your name there. Your name, but the fact that she was not mentioned, she was mentioned in the press conference, and then the committee happened after the press conference. Therefore, they don't want to exclude her. When a testimony was given, the committee was already there. So we're talking about her being mentioned while the committee was in existence to tell us about the press conference which happened before the testimony in the commission to dismiss an honorable member. It's wrong. Honorable Kola Barnard must take a conscious decision herself. If she so feels that, you know what, in the meantime, let me take a back seat because I don't know where, that in her own conscience, I don't know where this thing will lead to. But for you to take a name of a member and put it on the table and discuss it the way you are discussing it, even when it is not put by anyone before you on the table, that your member is conflicted, and then here is an area of conflict. And none of us is speaking about a conflict, because recusal must be on the basis of conflict. No one says here is the conflict. No one can establish the conflict, but we are readily available to go to get the member. We have no evidence before us, even when our member is not mentioned before our committee, and even when we look at the issue, none of us is pointing at conflict of interest. So I'm very sorry, I'm not part of such a arrangement where rights of people get humiliated and violated the way we want to do it. It's wrong. I disagree, Chair.
Yeah, family, we are back again. This is Zebra Family Channel. We are taking a certain stance in the naming of a DA member, whereby most content creators have come up saying Julius Malema is a flip-flopper because he did not support that the member of DA who has been named in the Madlanga Commission, that he has to recuse himself from the commission, because from the ad hoc committee, whereby they will be cross-examining Muanazi, who on the 6th alluded, and he said a lot of things about how the country is being run, and there's a lot of things that are happening. Syndicate cartels are involved in running the country. So now that Malema has differed, there's a lot of noise. People are saying he's now saying this because he feels that his name is going to come up in the Madlanga Commission. Let me remind South Africans who Malema is, because I think people, they don't listen to what Malema says at most. They just take it because they hate him. Whatever you say, they look at the hate side. They don't look at the side whereby, on context, in what context is he saying this? So I try to listen repeatedly as to why. I played that clip, why he's saying this, because I just wanted to understand word by word why he is saying this. Malema is very smart. At some point, I will just go back a little bit and say, there's a point whereby Malema said he never gets into problems, but he creates problems to get somewhere. That is Malema. Let me remind our people that Malema, at some point, as you watch this video, as you have watched it, Malema, there was a point whereby ANC member, that's her former political party, that is ANC, Malema's former political party, Begicele, stood up in parliament and insulted Steenhuisen, a leader of an organization that says Malema is a cult. They call him names, they call him a dictator, they call him, he doesn't mind that. But he stood up in the same parliament, as you have seen him here, and defended a woman who was not in parliament, and defended the DA leader from the ANC. A lot of people were laughing, were enjoying whatever from the ANC side, because they don't look things in a bigger picture. But Malema, as he was sitting down there, listening to Begicele insulting a leader of an organization in the way that he insulted him and insulted the woman who was not in that parliament, who was not part of the politics, Malema digested everything that Begicele was saying and said he's not going to be part of this. And he defended Steenhuisen and a woman who was not in. And he called on Begicele to come and retract whatever he has said in parliament. I've never seen this kind of blows that are coming now. That Malema now is defending DA because he feels like his name is going to come up because he's corrupt. We have heard about the corruption of Malema. Everybody's been saying there's VPS and VPS. How much powerful is Malema that all those people who hate him cannot bring him to justice for stealing money from the VPS, if he did steal money? What is it that is blocking them from doing that? So we as South African, we are missing a point. We are missing a leader who can take us out of this mess. And we look at the hate side that is being fed by whoever those people are feeding us with that hate. But the point we are missing is one. This man can take us somewhere in this country. That is the point that we are missing. He is firm and he knows what he wants for the people of South Africa. But because we are blindfolded with hate, we don't see what Malema sees in the country, how he can turn around the country. We listen to DA telling us that if we want the markets to fall and do everything, let's go. Let's vote for Malema or MK or whatever. We'll see things that we have never seen in the country. They are giving us this scary scenario, and we are buying it as South Africans. DA is in collusion with ANC, What difference do we see? What change are we seeing in the country? Look at the crime. Look at the pothole. Look at the infrastructure in the country. What is it that is happening? They are keeping their fight on. DA has tasted power. And they've tasted blue lights. For them to walk away is not easy. And because they are being controlled by those who are saying markets will fall. If and at any way ANC can work with EFF, things will fall apart in the country. Let us take, for example, and look at the EFF with very, very close eye. They own their office. That is a party of 11 years. As they own their offices, look at the quality of MPs and the youth that is being put in parliament. And we must look at the big picture. Let's not look at the rhetoric that is going on. Let us look at exactly. Because what is the use of looking at the rhetoric and not looking at the bigger picture? Okay, let's say ANC doesn't have this rhetoric that EFF has. But they have a very dark side of stealing until this country collapses. What is the president of ANC doing? At some point, I can remember Lonzi saying, right in parliament, that Ramaphosa is a paper tiger that can scare you at a distance. But when you come close to it, you realize this is a paper tiger. So what I'm saying here is, Malema being seen that he is defending the DA woman is not the first time Malema do this. Where he sees it not fit and where he sees that he cannot be part of something that is wrong, he will voice. He doesn't care how many people are against what he is saying, because at most he has been proven right. How many people who have been talking about Malema VPS? Where is the evidence of VPS? Why is he not arrested for VPS or charged for VPS if there is any evidence? Look at what is flying now, because we're close to the 2026 elections. A lot of things are being said about EFF and Malema. They call him whatever they want to call him. Then we, as South Africans, we are sitting at 350 a month that we are being given by the money that doesn't take even a day. When they give us in the morning, in 1 hour you have bought a few things, a bag of rice or whatever you have bought, and oil. Maybe if you manage to buy a meal, you take home and you've got nothing. But we are being blindfolded by those people who are leading, who wants to keep us poor. We are not looking at the bigger picture. We must look at the bigger picture. Before a woman gives a beautiful baby, she goes through that maternity. She goes through that pain, that labor. She goes through that. But once the baby comes out, you see the smile from the woman who has been frowning her face in that pain. But what has come out from that pain becomes beautiful to that woman. Let us know that we have to go through pain before we get to our destiny. For how long we will keep on doing one and the same thing, being blindfolded? We must always understand Julius Malema whenever he says something. Now, he has said all these things that he has said. In the Madlaga Commission, this lady who is a lawyer from the police side, she was giving evidence. She has implicated Ramaphosa, he himself. Let me hear everybody here shouting the same. Because the problem that people are looking at, it's wrong. Malema doesn't want people to concentrate on what is happening in the Madlaga Commission. He wants this ad hoc committee people to prepare themselves to ask relevant questions from Muanazi and get the right information, not what is being said on the other side. Because once people confuse themselves listening to the other side, they will have nothing to prepare because they think they got everything from the other side. They forget about what questions they were going to ask. So Malema is trying to divert people from listening to what is going on in the Madlaga Commission to start preparing their own questions as they are parliamentarians. And that is a different committee that is going to be taking on Muanazi and the others. That is the thing that they are missing from Julius Malema. They think this lady, if she feels there's heat on her, she will recuse herself and say, I think this, I know I have done something wrong. This will take me to, I don't want to be more embarrassed when the proceedings are going on in this parliament. Let me recuse myself. Not the ad hoc committee to say that, because they have nothing tangible that they can point to in their committee that has been reported. It's a hearsay that they listen to what is being said in the Madlaga Commission. That is what they are putting forward in their own committee. Now, Who has brought the complaint? And in the ad hoc committee in black and white, that they can start arguing about telling this lady to leave the committee or to recuse herself from this committee so that everything can run smooth. Can Ramaphosa recuse himself from the seat that he's sitting on? His name has been named and he's running the country. He's been implicated. Can he help us and let his deputy take over? People, they always say things not realizing at the end that what they are saying, they are pointing a finger to one person. They don't even look at the other four fingers, whether they are pointing to themselves. Family, I will leave it there. But that is my take. I understood Malema better according to my opinion, not your opinion. That is how I understood Malema. As this committee still, the Malanga committee is going on, it means people will be named there. It means that ad hoc committee will not operate, because if 10 more are named from that committee, from the Malanga committee, they have to be out of there. They have to be out of there. So, family, that is my take on this. It's my opinion. What is your opinion? Do you think it's the right thing for Malema to recuse himself? Drop your own comment respectfully. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bravo, bravo, bravo.